It's a simple question here. Chase or fade James Harden? Ducey, let's give it another shot.
I'm fading James Harden. I know that it's kind of difficult to do because of how well he's played in this series, and just given the fact that he's been the best fantasy option of the big three. But I just see so much value on this slate that I don't really feel the need to pay up for James Harden. When you look at a guy like Damian Lillard, who's down there at $9,600, I think that Damian Lillard's a guy that's easily going to return 6 times value tonight. And with James Harden, $1,000 more. I do think that, he's coming in hot, but there's a lot of volatility there, right? I mean, he could easily seed the way to Kevin Durant, who takes most of the shots. I just think that there's a lot of risk that you're running with Harden. First 2 games of the series did not go very well for him. So I do think that I'm willing to take some of the more trustworthy options, especially with some of the higher totals on the board. And I'm really going to be targeting that Blazers-Nuggets game.
Nick, is Harden trustworthy in your eyes?
I think he's fairly trustworthy as far as the point total that you can expect. But like Kenny said, I mean, he's been a little bit more volatile early in this series, especially certainly than he was, as a member of the Rockets or when there were only 2 of the Nets' big 3 healthy earlier in the season. I mean, he only took 12 shots in game 4. So he doesn't have that massive DK point total if he doesn't have 18 assists in that game to go with 3 blocks and 2 steals. So you can't always depend on those big time ancillary numbers from a guy like James Harden. So, I'm not going to say you can't play him tonight, but I'd rather play Kevin Durant, who's $400 cheaper. And I'm with Kenny where, you start to look at how you want to build your entire lineup. I'd rather save, upwards of $1,000 to roster LeBron at 98 or Damian Lillard in that same range. Maybe those guys don't have quite the, extreme floor if Harden has one of his best nights, but they're pretty close. And for the difference in price, I'd rather, price down a little bit tonight.
Okay, Stan, are you with these guys when it comes to James Harden? Maybe just look elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm with them. They are 2 wise gentlemen. I think they alluded to everything that I was, going to focus on. Kevin Durant, $400 cheaper. He's actually been the most consistent fantasy performer in this series. He's gone for 50 DK fantasy points in every game. The last 2 over 60. Tatum's only $600 cheaper. We know the massive upside. Nick and Kenny, they both alluded to Damian Lillard, $1,000 cheaper. He's going to play 40 minutes, garner usage rate over 35%. The Nets are favored by 13 points here. So, this could turn into a laugher. I know Harden played over 40 minutes last game, but in game 2, he only played 27 minutes in that blowout. So, there's that risk there. The usage rate, it hasn't been over 30% in any game. My main concern is that, the efficiency. He's shot 66, 61, 50% from the field the last 3 games. They've been hunting Evan Fournier, and he's just been abusing him every single time. I figure Brad Stevens is going to make some sort of adjustment there. If he's not, he can triple-double on any night. So, he's also been contributing in defensive stats. So that projection is always there. But, if he's not super efficient because of the low volume of shots, it's going to be tough for him to access ceiling games. And, as Kenny and Nick alluded to, there are definitely other options on this slate where you don't have to pay up for Harden.
Nick, let's stick with the DFS side here. Who's a value play you are going to chase?
One guy I like is Norman Powell at 5,600. Not an extreme value, but he's got 32 and 41 DraftKings points over his last 2 games. He's someone that, as long as the game is close, given what he provides Portland, both as a floor spacer and then on the defensive end, he's going to see big minutes pretty much every single night. I like that Portland got back on track in game 4, after falling behind 2-1 in that series. I'm still looking at Cameron Payne at 5,400. His DraftKings point total has decreased over each of the last 3 games, but he's still playing a really key role off the bench for Phoenix. There is some concern that as Chris Paul continues to get healthier, maybe we do see Cam Payne's minutes diminish a little bit, but man, he's been fantastic. Every time he's been on the court, he's been super confident, both as a shooter and a playmaker. I think he's been significantly better than virtually every Lakers role player in this series. And speaking of those guys, Dennis Schroeder, 5,800. Again, not a guy that you're going to plug in at a bottom dollar salary, but 5,800 for a guy who could very well be the bona fide number 2 option in this game tonight with Anthony Davis likely to sit out. He's coming off of a rough game 4. He's been very up and down these last few weeks, but I think the potential ceiling tonight for Schroeder, given that he's probably going to be funneled more shots, is there.
Stan, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna go all the way down. I'm gonna go on Bruce Brown at 3.5K and Marcus Gasol at 3.6K. Brown played 24 minutes last game. Once Jeff Green got out of the rotation due to injury, like his versatility has been huge because he can pretty much guard every position. He's a low usage player, mainly, derives his value from grabbing rebounds. But the way that the Celtics have been defending the Nets, he's been the guy cutting into the middle of the paint, getting those easy chippies. So, he's been scoring some points there. He was the only Nets player off the bench to play over 60 minutes last game. And, in the two games that he's played over 20 minutes in the series, he's produced 26.25 and 19.5 BK fantasy points. So, I can expect a similar production in this one as long as he gets the minutes. As for Gasol, Anthony Davis is questionable in this game. I think that'll give some minutes boost to Gasol. Even if he does play, he should probably get somewhere in the low 20 minutes. Last game he scored 35.5 BK's fantasy points. He's actually very important because he can space the floor, shoot from downtown. And he had 3 blocks last game, so he defended the paint well. I think he's played a little bit better than Andre Drummond, to be honest. And, his ability to pass kind of opens up the offense. So, he's going to be important especially if Anthony Davis can't go today.
Okay, Kenny, bring us home on this one.
Yeah, I'm not going to tolerate the Andre Drummond slander. I'm just not going to be here for it. Look, here's the thing, though. I am going to go with Marcus Gasol at 3.6K, like Stan. But, the reason is what the Lakers want to do, and Anthony Davis unlikely to play with the report yesterday from Shams. What they want to do is they want to space the floor, as Stan said. Anthony Davis gives them shooting. He gives them post play. That is just not what Andre Drummond does. Now, Andre Drummond is going to play an important role in this game. I actually don't even mind playing him here as a great pivot off of Gasol. I just expect a lot of people to flock to Gasol. But it is a smart play because he can step out and shoot the 3. He's a great post passer. He's also a great post scorer. He could do everything here in the post. I think that they've been saving him all season just in case something like this happened. He hasn't been playing that many minutes. And you saw what he did last time out in limited minutes, just 23 minutes, and he got 35 DK fantasy points. I do think that he's the value of the night here. If I'm going to look elsewhere, maybe a Peyton Pritchard in the low $4,000 range. If Kemba Walker doesn't play, you look at teams trying to push different buttons, and Peyton Pritchard could be the button push tonight with the Celtics with their backs against the wall here because nothing has worked here. Maybe you just go for the electrifying, 3-point shooter with unlimited range. Maybe you sign Jimmer Fredette and get 2 of them. I don't know. But, yeah, I definitely think that both of those guys are good value plays, but Gasol definitely going to be my favorite.
Okay, Kenny, let's take a look at the sports book here. Suns are favored by 5 points tonight against the Lakers with the series tied at 2 games apiece. So chase or fade the Suns cover the spread.
I'm going to fade this. This was 5.5 last night. It's down to 5 for a reason. And I just think that, the square money really is going to be on the Suns to cover here. I think that people think this series is done and dusted. The Suns are the favorites to win it now. And LeBron James, with his back against the wall, in the playoffs, especially a tumultuous season like this where the Lakers had to fight in the play-in tournament, I think that he had to kind of activate that, whatever he calls it, zero dark LeBron a little early. I do think that, yeah, the Lakers could definitely win this game. I think that the Suns defense has not looked like itself. When you want to talk about the Suns all season long, that was how they made their money. The last month of the season, their defense kind of dissipated. In this series, it hasn't been the best. The Lakers have had the better defense. And the one thing you can say about the Lakers is that their defense has stood the test of time, whether it's without Anthony Davis, without LeBron, without both of them. They have played good defense as a team. That's not going to change here just because Anthony Davis is out. What's going to be impacted is the offensive side of the ball. I think the Lakers with LeBron in the fold, they score enough points here. LeBron might just decide that he needs to take every shot in this game. And I think that's reason enough to believe they can score the basketball. And then whatever you get from Kyle Kuzma's gravy. I do think that the Lakers can absolutely give the Suns a game here.
What do you think, Nick?
I think they can give the Suns a game, but I don't know that this is 2018 or 2016 or 2012 LeBron anymore. I don't know that he has one of those performances in him. I hope he does. I hope he's been saving it for this. And oftentimes he's had some games throughout his career in the playoffs where you just think his team really needs to win this. And he's being really passive. And he does tend to wait until their backs are really up against the wall. And especially if Anthony Davis doesn't play in this game. And honestly, even if he does, I don't think we can expect to see, 35 point, 15 rebound Anthony Davis. I think if he does play, it'll be a hobbled version. Hopefully LeBron still has that left in him, but man, we'll see. I have not liked what I've seen from him overall in this series. I did think he looked a little bit better in game 4, but I think right now he's been really sloppy. He's up over 5 turnovers per game in this series. I don't think he still fully trusts himself getting to the rim, playing through contact, landing on that ankle. But the biggest thing I've been saying, guys, throughout this entire series is this team is just not constructed very well around LeBron James. And I know it sounds crazy to say that about a team that's virtually the same as the one that just won the title last year, but the teams that have really been able to thrive with LeBron throughout his career are the ones that have Ray Allen or Shane Battier or Channing Frye or Mo Williams, whoever it is, catch and shoot guys who can put up points, in a hurry. And all of a sudden you take away Anthony Davis from this team and you're relying really heavily on guys who have just not played very well this season, like Dennis Schroeder, like Kyle Kuzma, who's been a disaster in this series. Alex Caruso cannot shoot. Ben McLemore and Wes Matthews are really the only 2 Lakers role players that have been able to give them anything consistently from a shooting perspective. And that is not good. Ben McLemore is not a name, you should be saying in that context. So, I think I do like the Suns tonight. I hope we get a vintage LeBron performance, but I'm still just a little bit skeptical of his health. We haven't seen him have one of those games in a very long time, considering the amount of games that he missed with that injury. So, I'm probably setting myself up for a video that's not going to look great this time tomorrow morning. But I want to see LeBron do it.
Stan, chase or fade the Suns cover the spread?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Laker fan, and I try to do everything in my power to look for a hometown, way for them to win or cover. I just couldn't do it. I could see them losing this game and then coming back and winning at home in Game 6. But I think Nick made some really good points. LeBron, I mean, he's not 100%. He's not explosive. Back in the day, like he's shooting the fadeaway jumpers, and that's fine. But back in the day, he was a freight train getting to the hole. He was unstoppable. Getting and ones, getting the other team into foul trouble. He just doesn't have that explosion anymore. Anthony Davis is banged up. Even if he plays, he's not 100%. The Suns, I mean, they're 8th in defensive efficiency. Their record at home was 27-9 during the regular season. Both their wins, they won by 8 and 9 points. I really hope, we get a vintage epic LeBron performance here and the role players knock down the jumpers. But, like Nick said, like this team doesn't have those jumpers. Like KCP, is hobbled up. He might not play in this one. And, granted, he's been terrible this series, but he was one of their more, I guess, catch and shoot type threats. Caruso, I love him. He's like my guy, but yeah, he just offensively, like he's not going to drain that open J. The Suns are going to give that to him all day. So, as for the defensive end, the Lakers have been good, but they haven't figured out how to guard the Chris Paul pick and roll. It's just like they keep going over the top of the screens, and Chris Paul just walking in there. He's either getting the open look, 10-foot, 12-foot mid-range game, or if the defense collapses, then he's just dishing it out. So, I as a Laker fan, I want them to win. I want them to cover, but I think the Suns are too much here at home.
Guys, very, very quick here on Slate Approved Pick. Favorite bet or DFS play? Go ahead, Stan.
DeAndre Ayton, 7.4K. He's just been so good down low. Double-double every game, 20, 10, and 3 or 4. He's even chipped in some steals and blocks. He's gone over 40 DK fantasy points in 3 or 4, and he's averaged, whopping 40 minutes per game. I just feel like he's just too cheap for the consistency, production, and playing time.
Nick, quickly.
Suns Lakers under 208 points. And like we just talked about, I like the Suns to cover that as well.
Lots of Lakers love. Kenny, bring us home very quick, please.
Blazers money line plus 107. Nurkic on the floor. They're outscoring the opposing team by 23 points. They're getting outscored by 27 points with Nurkic off the floor. He should play a lot in this game, not be in foul trouble like he was in game 2 and game 3. Shooting regresses for Nuggets. They continue to do it. Blazers continue to shoot well. I like the Blazers here to win this game.